Guys, welcome back. It's James Bare Knuckles Sing UK. We've got a Bare Truth podcast here with a top man. It's John Paul Fitzgerald. John Paul, how are you, bro? It's good to see you, mate.
Not too bad, no, brother. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. First podcast of the year. I've had a bit of a break, but getting back into it now. But an absolute pleasure to get together with you, mate, for us to do this podcast. I know we've spoken quite a bit, but I've not gone into any like questions about your growing up and your past and bits and pieces. So what we do, mate, with the Bare Truth podcast, John Paul, we take it right back to the start, mate, and just give us an idea of your story growing up and family life and how it was, mate, basically.
100%. And thanks very much for having me, James. And thanks very much.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure.
But will I start here now? So I will. Yeah. Well, when I was growing up, James, like I would have grown up in a kind of a hectic household, we'll say. Right. There was a lot happening, and confrontation would have been instilled in me from a very young age. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what I remember, like, most is you don't let I was always under the belief you don't let anyone think they're better than you or try outdo you in any way or try to. Do you understand? There was a very confrontational, like it's a loving household. Like my mother and my father and all were loving people. It's just that was instilled into me was you don't back down from anything. You're a man and that's the way it is. You know what I mean? From a very young age. Do you know what I mean?
Did you have siblings, John?
What's that? I do. I have a brother and two sisters.
Okay. So was that hectic? That sort of hectic start in life then? Was that sort of down to just being a sort of quite a big family, or what do you put that down to?
There was a lot going on, James. Like those, like my father, and my mother, and all. They were hectic people. Let's say they were very hectic. There was, as they say, no chill. Right? There was a no chill. My father, like, would have been known around where I'm from, the area where I'm from in Ireland, for fighting and arguing, and so that was a kind of thing we had to. I felt like I had to follow through on because I was his son, so I thought I had to live up to that expectation as well. Do you understand? And he would have had a couple of.
Your dad had quite a reputation then from where you were, and then so growing up, what sort of point then, John, did you like that? You taking sort of back to where you're obviously young, you're growing up, and that's sort of the lifestyle that you live in. How far back are you taking it there, mate? Is this like primary school years, going into secondary?
That's back when I was young. Like that's going from when I was 5, 6, 7, the earliest I can remember, James. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, and how was like school life for you as well, mate? Like,
like I wasn't really like every other young fella. I hated school, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was always in trouble in school from a young age. I was always the class clown, as you say, and I just had no interest, you know what I mean? I had no interest in school whatsoever. And there was just all I wanted. Like, I wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it, James. I was lost. I was a lost young fella going around for years. Only up to recently I discovered who I am and what I'm about. But until then, I was just lost going around, you know what I mean?
So, like, secondary school then, JP, like, obviously, you like you say, your dad's got a reputation locally as well. So you're growing up and you're feeling like you've got to fill them shoes as well, I'm guessing. And, as most, I guess, like most kids would do. So how did that shape you then in terms of like getting into secondary school, growing up, getting into, I don't know, I'm guessing you were getting into bother at school as well if you were, were you getting into fights at that point?
Yeah.
Did the fighting start at school? And
The fighting started in primary school, James. I was always fighting with students in the school. I don't have much secondary school, James. You understand?
Yeah.
I was put into a youth program from primary after primary to youth program because the secondary school I was only about 30 days in there and they couldn't keep me there. Like, you know what I mean?
So
But
was that down to like in your head you'd got like this sort of mixed behaviour? So you like you say you didn't really know who you were, but you know who your dad is, and you've got to sort of follow in his footsteps almost, really.
it's it, I it was part of it. It would have been a part of it, James. And then there was other things going on in the house as well. That was just it was never stability. I would have been moved all over England and Ireland for a young age as well. Like there was never a stable environment, never a stable house we're living in, never a stable county I was living in, never a stable country I was living in. Do you understand?
So did you live across in England then? Have you been across like lived in England when you were a kid as well?
I have. I've been over and back from England since I'm very young. Like, you know what I mean? I would have been over when as young as I can go back. I think it was 4 and 5. I would have been living in London with my father's side of the family for a while. Came home, ended up back in Wales, Cardiff, Newport. Came back to Ireland again, then ended up in London again. Came back to Ireland, then ended up in London again. So I've been over and back, and then all over Ireland as well. Like I never had stability. Like you understand, James?
London's I've lived in London. London's a mad place as well, so I can imagine. I mean, I was 18 when I moved to London, but I can imagine as a young lad as well, and you know, part of a family. London, it's a bit of a crazy place, like, isn't it?
Oh, it's like it's different to Ireland. It's like the Wild West compared to Ireland, let's say, because everything is so. Everyone knows everyone kind of where you're from here. That when you land over there, you're getting away with a lot more, let's say, you know what I mean? And you weren't being singled out because you're just another face in the crowd in London, like, because it's massive, you know what I mean?
It's
But
complete
back
rat
here,
race
they'd
down
be
there,
able to
like.
say, this was John Paul that done this and blah. But over there, did no one know you, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it is a proper rat race in London, like you know, and it always used to amaze me whenever I came back home. Everything sort of seemed to go in slow motion when I got off the train, you know, back up north, and you go back down south, and everything speeds up 10 times. You know, everyone's in a rush to get everywhere. Everyone's focused and like this 100 miles an hour underground and everywhere else. So yeah, I appreciate that, bro. So at, at, at what at what point now? How was the sort of the obviously you said like you didn't do the secondary school bit. How was that going into that as a teenager as such and
Well,
taking that route?
James, we went into a place for, like, we'll say, other troubled teenagers in the area, right? And you would have been paid to go to school. It's like paid. It's like a youth reach program for all the world, yeah. But you get paid to go there, so it was it was entice you to do your education by payment. Do you get me?
Yeah,
But we were all just smoking weed when we get paid at the end of lunch times. We were all just smoking weed and taking tablets and drinking and all. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, taking acids and all, going in like only 13 or 14 years of age, like, you know what I mean?
Was that
So
sort of something that happened? Or when did sort of drugs come into it, John Paul? Like was
at
that
13, I started smoking weed and drinking about 12 or 13, James. You know what I mean?
getting your head in?
Yeah.
Well, this one getting his head in. Yeah, I was the same, mate. I was exactly the same, to be fair. You know, started at a young age and did that, and it can. I understand, like it can. It's very easy to be taken on the wrong path. You know, I was lucky. I went into work when I was at school and did that. So I went straight into a career, and that kept me on the straight and narrow. To be fair, you know, like I still did my bits. I was, you know, I'd done, you know, lots of stuff in the past, acid pills, you know, exactly the same sort of stuff. But at what point then, John? When was it that you sort of got your point where that's it? You're your own man as such, and you're going to make your own sort of way.
That to be honest, James, that started to come around when I came out of prison on my last sentence. Right, it kind of clicked with me. I was still in and out of addiction when I came out of prison, right? But it clicked with me like there was services getting involved and bringing me past against me and all when it came to like me children's set. And they were trying to say I was unpredictable. Like I never done that to any children in my life. Anything I had was done to fully grown adults. Like, do you get me? Like assaults and all that stuff, right? But they were trying to tell me like violence is violence and you're unpredictable. Doesn't matter who it was done to. Do you get me?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, these people are trying to say I'm a danger to me fucking kids, and I'm not, which is not the case. Do you understand, James?
No, yeah, completely.
So I said, all right, it's time to change here, or they're not going to let me see my children, and they're going to be involved in my life and trying to make me out to be something I'm not, James. Do you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
started to relax and I started to calm down and I started to work a program in NA. I ended up in rehabilitation, James. I went into rehab after when all this was going on and it was hectic. I was going around like a psychopath, James. I was attacking and fighting with everyone and anyone. I'd fight with my own shadow, like if I could. Do you understand? So the head was
What was driving that? Do you think, JP? What was driving that, mate? Do you think was it still stemming back to the childhood and knowing that being really your only path, really, to following your dad's footsteps and build this reputation and.
It wasn't. It went past upon trying to follow my father's footsteps, James. It went to like all I knew. Then eventually, do you understand?
Yeah.
It wasn't like it went past then. Like me and my father have a daily relationship. Me and my father to this day still talk. We get on very well. I learned a lot from my father. Do you understand? But my warped way of thinking at the time was, if I can bait this person, or if I can intimidate this person, or if I can walk all over this person, I'm the boss. Like I'm the man. You know what I mean? That was the warped thought I had from the drink and the drugs and the years of violence. Do you understand?
Yes,
And there
mate.
was
Yeah.
lots going on with other families we were arguing with and everything. So there was constant tit for tats and police involvement and arguing and fighting, and there was all that in the background as well. So, and that all stemmed from like a situation that started when I wasn't even born, James. So I was kind of just following on the cycle, arguing
Yeah.
with these people, and I was arguing with these people that were the same as me, the younger generation, who weren't even born when it started. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We was just bred into us like that's the enemy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Like
vice
the real
versa, the
family,
same for them, like you know what I
like
mean?
proper family feuds, like instead that go back generations and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the ins and outs of it are sticky, like, and those big complicated trials went on there and everything. You know what I mean, James? And it was just dragged out, torn out. Bitter breeds bitter, and hatred breeds hatred. You know what I mean?
Before before we follow on then, mate, from obviously coming out of coming out and then going into like NA and following that, because I really want to touch upon that because I know how important that is to you and you know in your everyday life today, and I know you're very passionate about it. So at that last point, I know you said you've got kids. Excuse me. Before you've got a daughter now with your partner now. Do you have other children to a previous partner as well, JP?
I have when I was in prison at the time in 2018, that time, right before I got out, she would have ended up with another person, another fella. And my two children would have been in the middle of that. And she was like myself at the time, heavily addicted, like, do you understand?
Yeah,
So my children weren't in an ideal situation, James. So that would have fueled a lot of anger in me as well before I decided to go get help. And I was like of the character of the time where it would have been you, she would have been saying, so there's no court in the land going to give you any access and all because of who you are and what you are. Do you understand? Because what I was, James, was I was a violent person. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not trying to be the big man. It's just my answer to everything was, well, as I said, if I can slap it, bait it, if I can intimidate it, if I can bully it, that's the way. That's the person I was because that's all I understood, James. Do you understand? I went to
what?
NA and I learned another way of life and another way of living, and I'm loving life now.
Oh yeah, I
But
was gonna say, mate. Like before, so if we go to the point, obviously, your sentence is up, so you get released, and then did you find yourself was that the point that like the penny dropped and you made the change, or was it when you were still inside, or
It's when I got out, James. When I got out, I was still a bit. The head was still a bit wasn't right, like, you know what I mean. And it's just when, like, when my partner now for the last 5 years, 6 years nearly, right? She ended up pregnant with my daughter Carly now, the little girl that's living with me now, my youngest daughter. And I started. There was services got involved there because I'll be honest, James. I was took out of a family member's house by the armed response unit. Me and my brother kicked off. We were we were dating each other to bits in the house. My mother and my sisters and all were in the house. So I was out my head on drugs. Me and my brother were having a back and forward arguing with each other, mounting and screaming and shouting at each other, and it took off into something else. It took off into a violent altercation, right? And my mothers and my sisters and my partner at the time was in the house and my daughter was in the house, but they were in a different room, right? The armed response was called by neighbours. They rang the armed response because they said there's World War III going on in there or whatever, right? So I was removed from this vicinity by armed response. I was folded up, zip tied, gunpoint out the road, whatever. Took out of the gaff because someone was saying there was weapons in the house, but there wasn't. The neighbour over exaggerated the situation, right? So I was took to a Garda station. But while I was put on remand for that, right? But I was left out because there was no one pressing any charges on me. I was released then after that, you get me? But while I was in the house and the guys that called social services were contacted because there was a child, and my little girl was in the house, right? And it was put to me like I have to come off the drugs and I have to get me act together because they think, which is understandable. I was an unpredictable person, but I wasn't a danger to my children. But the outside person, them looking at it, was trying to say I was unpredictable. I was capable of anything. You get me?
yeah,
And that wasn't the case. But I said, right, I have to do this if I want to be involved in my child's life, and if I want to have a chance to be involved in my other two children's lives, I have to get myself together, James. Do you know what I mean? So I went into treatment. I was supposed to be a 3 month program, right? I ended up staying for 7 months. I ended up finishing out the program for 3 months and helping in the rehabilitation centre for another 4 months, helping with other people. I seen another way of life. I started to understand what life was, James. It wasn't all bravado and ego, and I have to be bigger than this fella. And if I can beat him, I'm the man. And if I can intimidate all them, I'm the man. It don't work like that. That's not life. That was just small-minded thinking from a situation, a product of what I was used to. Do you get me?
yes, mate. And when when you were doing the program as well, so obviously, like you said, it was a 3 month program, and then you stayed on another 4 months yourself, and
Yeah.
helped and got involved. Did you find that helped you? You know, you needed that yourself as well, yeah.
Oh, that was deadly for me, James. I could relate. I thought I was the only man that felt like this. I thought I was the only person that had these feelings of inadequacy and insecurities and anger inside me. But I started meeting these by the flockload, and I started learning how to deal with my issues through learning off other people that were there before me and people that came after me. Do you understand?
Yeah,
So, like, I wasn't the only one that was like that. Then I learned this is a thing, and it's called addiction. I thought I had a mental illness or I was no, I was an addict. I'm still an addict. I'm in recovery now, but I was an addict. That's why I felt the way I felt, and that's why I acted the way because I was uncontrollable, unmanageable, and unpredictable. They are addiction. That sums up addiction. Do you understand?
yeah, yeah,
And then I had to sit back and realize, like, the people that are going to suffer for this are my children. If I don't get myself well for them, my daughter at this time was very young. She was only a couple of weeks old. She would have been only 2 months old at the time. Do you get me? Not
yeah.
even 2 months. Not. She was very young. Like, do you get me?
How was that? Obviously, like you say as well, you've got a new partner, you've got a new daughter as well, and how was that? Obviously for your partner, because she'll have wanted you there as support, but also she'll have wanted you to get as well as you can get, and you know, support you as well. I know you're very close, and you know, I see a lot of posts, fantastic posts you put out where you're doing bits with your family and your daughter and, you know, and your partner. And it's we'll get to YouTube, mate, soon. But yeah, how was that for your partner as well? Was she really supportive and understanding?
She was with family members of mine, James. When I was in treatment at the time, she would have stayed. She's very friendly with my sisters. She's very good friends with my two sisters, right? So when I was in treatment for 7 months, and it was in COVID, so there wasn't much visiting involved either. Like, do you get me?
Yeah,
It would have been around the start of COVID, say, or in around the start of when coronavirus was happening, and there was not much visits going on around. So like it was all over the phone like this. I'd get a use of a phone for a phone video call visit kind of thing. You get me? And it was hard, like, but she understood, like, because she understood I was battling demons in my head. I explained to her as the months went on. I was explaining more and more. I was more honest with her what was going on for me, what insecurities in my head I had, like what.
how
Like,
was that journey, mate, over that 7 months? Because obviously, when I'm guessing when you start something like that, you know, everything's very new. You know, things aren't going to make sense straight away, like you say, until you start interacting with other people and helping each other. So how was that sort of 7 month process of yourself? Obviously, you did the 3 months, and
oh, James, I, I started feeling guilty for things I didn't even know I was guilty for. The more I started softening up, I started realizing who I was, James. Do you understand? I
yeah,
took down the barriers, the ego, the bravado, all that was took down. The mask came off. I had to sit with myself. I had to reflect on myself. And I had to be honest with myself. Do you understand? There's a lot of bad I done in life, and I had to sit there and own it and take responsibility for it and get rid of the shame. Like I was ashamed. I was ashamed of a lot of things that I didn't think I was even ashamed for, James. It's like, when I started holding myself self accountable for things. Not that it was everyone else's fault and I'm the prime, this and that. No. You were a drug addict and an alcoholic and you made others suffer along with you while you were suffering. Do you understand?
yeah,
I had to, the reality of all that started sinking in, like I started feeling things I never even thought I could feel. I thought I had myself in my head down as the baddest person I ever knew in my life. In my head, I was like, I didn't care for anyone. I didn't care for myself, so I didn't think I cared for anyone. But behind it all, I cared for everyone. I was just, I was a broken person, James, from addiction. Other things were going on that I was like, I reckon I was self medicating to other situations, James, right? But at the base of it all was I was heavily addicted to benzodiazepine medications, alcohol, and anything bar crack and heroin. I was on everything except crack and heroin. Do you
yeah,
understand?
yeah,
Speed, coke, ease, oh, but benzodiazepine based tablets, sleeping tablets, alcohol, hash, everything you could get your hands on that wasn't crack or heroin I was taking. Like, you get me?
yeah. No,
And
I understand. I can imagine. I can imagine, JP. Like, I never got to a point where, even though I've been in the same position really as you know, in the same way, and I'd pretty much everything apart from crack and heroin in my days, but it was always on a recreational level. So, like early 90s to mid 90s, I was heavily into the club scene, into my house and my trance and my dance music, and that went hand in hand with the ecstasy. But I was always working as well, you know. So it wasn't. It never got to a problem where it got too much. And I don't know about yourself, but as years went on for me, I found after using a lot of that was my vice was ecstasy basically, and there were suddenly people who you didn't see in the clubs anymore, and you'd ask about, and they'd gone. You know, they'd passed away, and you find out, and they say, "Oh yeah, he had fucking 12 pills, and there was some bad, and you know, there was some bad ones in there, whatever." And that's at the point then when I just thought, you know what, and I got to like early 30s and just thought, that's it, I'm done, you know. But for yourself, mate, that was obviously your entire life. You know,
or everything, like everything. My whole life revolved around the party, James. Like from
Yeah.
young, when we were young at 13, drinking in fields, smoking hash, taking ease like you were taking there, and sniffing. That was who I was only up to a few years ago. Like, do you understand?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
like I knew no different, James. I was given this opportunity and treatment to be absolutely and completely transparent and honest with myself. And when I sat there, like, because I knew, like, the way things have been put to me, like, I would have lost my partner, I would have lost my family, I would have lost my life, I would have lost my freedom for a lot longer than I would have lost it before. Like, I was either going to be kill someone, die from drugs, and lose all my family and all. Do you understand, James? I had not many ways out, and I picked the right way out. I picked to get sober. That was the only sensible way out for me. People say to me still they don't really understand. We should not have a drink or a smoke for the Christmas. I know the minute I put that to my lips, that's game over.
Yeah.
I know the minute I have a smoke, it's game over because that will set off something else. Do you understand?
Yeah, completely.
I had to callous my mind. Like the likes of David Goggins and Andrew Tate and all, they helped me get through. Do you know why? Because I can understand what them people are on about, because that's what helps me. That's what keeps me sober. Before Andrew Tate was a big thing or David Goggins was a big thing, I was of the one part of these people. I was an extremist in all walks of life. Where I was extreme in drug use, I was an extreme in drinking, and now I'm extreme in sobriety. Do you understand? One
100%.
to the other. Do you know what
It's
I mean?
it's almost like the transformation where you get people that find religion as well, and that can transform the life as well. Now I know because I've got other friends that have been through the program and come out the other end, thankfully, and in the right way, like yourself, mate. So when we get to like 2021, then let's take it back sort of 3 years ago. Whereabouts were you then? Because I know last night when we were speaking last night, you said that you initially started your YouTube in 2021.
Yeah.
What sparked that, and where was like your headspace at, and what made you sort of think, do you know what, I'm going to start a YouTube channel? And
I have this YouTube channel since 21, James, but I haven't started trying to use anything. I haven't. It was only up to a few months ago I started applying the what I'm on about, like, because it was recovery. Like, in recovery, when you're in a meeting and you're in the rooms and you meet the still suffering addict, right? If you can pass on information or give back any way in that man, if you're in the same way, if you can understand what that man is at, and you can give him the information to help you cope, or the tools to help you cope, that's called giving back. Like, you know what I mean? So I thought I'll start giving back to the still suffering addict that I'm not in contact with. The person that's suffering with their mental health, the person that's suffering with addiction, the person that's suffering with self-confidence issues, the person that doesn't know where to start. Try give them an avenue to, like, if they see this, if they see a new video of me, and half the time people are probably that don't suffer from any of these things and have a great life are probably saying, oh, look at this fella chatting shit. But it's the people that were like me or a similar background to me or anyone that's stuck in addiction that can click. If that clicks with them one person, it's something that I'm after giving back. Do you understand, James?
you're always going to get those people, mate, aren't you, who you know they're always going to go against you, and no matter what you do in life, if you're trying to succeed, there's always some bastard there who wants to put you down, you know, and put you back down. How did you find that, John Paul? Because obviously, as far as the community, if you like, and the area that you live, your family, like you said, there's been this long-standing feuds, and then you've gone into sobriety, and you've come out the other end and said, right, no, this is the way I'm going to move forward. Did you find that you had any problems with other people not allowing you to even change your life yourself,
James,
or
I've done a geographical relocation. I could not live in that area to this day because out of fear I would be dragged back into it. Because I'm
yeah,
still, like, that person still exists in me, James, that was involved in the height of that. When I'm not looking at it and I'm away from the situation, it's grand. They're all 80 mile away from me. Do you understand? But I still come in and out of the town where I'm from and I visit family and all that. But if I was to sit in that location day in, day out, having to look at these, there is still hatred there. Like, I try to deal with everything still. I'm still only a day as a day as a day, a day at a day. Like, you get me? I still suffer. I still have character defects there. And there was just so much went on with these people. Like, in A and NA says, try make amends where it doesn't, like, harm you or others, right? I'd be harming myself, putting myself in that situation, and then others would be harmed in that situation. So, like, there's no point. You just have to make amends where you can, and just leave what you can to itself. Do you get me?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to go back down that road. And if I was in there amongst them people that are still in the height of it, they'd drag me back in, and just as much as I drag them back in. Do you understand? So I done a geographical relocation. I sorted my issues. Well, I'm still dealing with them on the daily, but I have a good grasp of them, James, right? And I know
Mate,
my
do you know
triggers.
what? You've got to keep doing what you're doing, JP, because you know, through what you do on your YouTube and the way that you come across, you know, everything that you post about is positive. It's about positivity. You're wanting to inspire other people, and you're wanting people to be the best versions that they can be. That's how it comes across to me, you know, from your
100%,
channel.
James.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And so when, excuse me, so you've started your YouTube, but you're not putting content out as such.
I was
What
just watching at the start. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
same as me, mate. Really, you know, same as me. And then the more I got involved, I thought, you know, I need to have a proper channel like. But when did it get to the point for you, JP? When obviously you've always been a fighting man. It's always been in you. That there's inner demons that you're battling every day. You know, and a lot of people battle them, all different, you know, walks and shapes in life, and for all different reasons. But at what point was it that it clicked in your head and you said, do you know what? This is inside me, it's a part of me, but I'm in control of it. So I want to put myself into that fighting arena, if you like, and look to do the actual fighting yourself.
My mother got me a book years ago, right? When I was still in the height of it. I'm not sure where. I think I was either in prison or in prison or in treatment, one or the other, right? But my mother got me a book. I was even before that, actually. I'm wrong. I was living at home. Sorry, I'm wrong, right? And a book about Frank Bruno, the boxer, right? And I remember reading that, and I remember my mother saying to me, "Son, would you not go into the ring and make a few quid instead of fighting out in the streets?" Do you know what I mean? Because I was getting into hassle at the time for fighting around the place and all. And I just paid no attention to her, and years went on after that. But that exact thought came to me when I was sitting in treatment. And I remember always for years watching bare knuckle when I first started over there in the UK. You know, like James McRory, I would have followed James McRory, Newcastle bare knuckle boxer for years, like, you know what I mean? For
Yeah,
years. He was my favourite bare knuckle boxer when it started, like, did you get me?
yeah,
And it's just, it clicked with me then. I was like, I can do all these things. I'm capable of these things. Like, I never had stability, never had structure, but there was one thing I always knew was I can have a row, like, you know what I mean? That was one thing I was confident and I was sure in, because that's all that carried me for years was my ability to be a nasty cunt verbally, physically. Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, put that in a positive route, in a positive avenue. And that thought clicked with me. I remember my mother saying that to me. It's like, she's right. It's like, why am I out here getting a load of hassle when I could be doing it with no hassle in a productive way and be like the likes of James McRory and all them. Even down to Joe Joyce, like old Joe Joyce and Michael James Quinn McDonough and all them. Like, I remember watching all them for years. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, that's a calling, like that's what's calling me, like, do you understand? So
Did
it's
you
like,
ever have any like boxing background or go to any boxing clubs as a lad, or you know, do
when I
any
was young fella, I was in and out of
jiu-jitsu, martial arts, anything like that?
when I was a young fella, I was in and out of like boxing, and I done a bit of kickboxing, and I done a bit of karate and things like that. But it was never on a consistent basis. Do you get me, James?
Yeah,
the bare basics, and then I followed my own route in life. Like, do you understand?
And how's that sort of put you where you are now? Because obviously, I know you had a recent disappointment in terms of the fight that was sanctioned, and then you had a lot of dropouts on the card, so it couldn't go ahead. So obviously, that I know that'll have been a massive disappointment for you.
But I'm not deterred, James. You said there, right? As I said to you before, when I got sober, I became determined, right? And I've been speaking to you behind the scenes that if it's going to fall apart and it's going to not happen, I'll make it happen myself. Do you understand, James? And this is what I'm in the
100%, mate.
process of doing. Do you know what I mean?
And that's
So I'm
that.
after talking.
Yeah.
I'm after talking to the same people that had sanctioned that bout, and they're going to sanction an event. If I can put the insurance and the venue together, then they're going to sanction it.
And it's going to be the first. It'll be the first proper sanctioned bare knuckle event in Republic of Ireland. Then when it happens,
100%. The event I was
big
supposed to be
thing,
on
mate.
was supposed to be.
It's a big thing. It's a big, it's a big deal. And I honestly think once you can get the first one rolling, then you're going to be in a great position, because bare knuckle boxing is just on the rise. It's on the up. Massively, so it makes complete sense what you're doing, mate. 100% to me, complete sense. And I think it's a smart move. But obviously, going back a few years, you wouldn't have been able to deal with that. So obviously, the facts with the sobriety and the coping mechanisms, if you like, as well, that you'll have learned and being able to like introduce into your day-to-day life. I'm guessing how much, JP. I mean, obviously we all know. Well, I do, and yourself do. We know what it's like when you're on drugs, but how much of a difference is it now where you're sober, you're living your life, you're fit, you're training, you're enjoying your time with your family, with your daughter, raising your daughter. Just it seems like night and day, mate, from where you were just a few years ago.
Like, in recovery, they taught me I have to do everything, every last detail of the way I was living my life in addiction. I have to do it the complete opposite. I cannot leave no stone unturned. And I took that literally, like, I left not one stone unturned. I was completely honest with my counsellors. The most deepest, darkest, shameful stuff I had inside me, I put it out there, James. Because I left nothing there for me to second guess myself and give me a reason to use. Like,
Yeah,
you have to take everything. I Before I try and get sober, and like, yeah. I didn't give it the full effort. Do you get me? I'll freshen up for a couple of weeks and then I'll go back out and I'm back on it again. I was completely honest, completely transparent, and I left nothing inside me that can make. Like, there's lots of bad I done in life as well, James, and I felt guilty for it and shameful for it, but I didn't leave it there. I thrown it out there in front of a room full of strangers.
I was going to say, was it like quite a process where you almost have to look at yourself in the mirror and have it out with yourself almost,
Yes.
I can imagine, mate. It's difficult. It's hard because it's not something that I've ever been through, but it's something that I can see in you, and from speaking to you and doing lives with you, I know how much it means to you, and I know how passionate about it you are. In terms of other people and helping your fellow man, if you like, in the same manner that they've helped you become the man that you are today as well. And so let's fast forward a bit then. So let's go take it back, say 6 months ago, and what clicked where you thought, do you know what, this is going to become JPF, fitness boot camp hire, and what point did you think, yeah, I'm going to do this and start spreading the word and doing your thing?
I started seeing I seen an audience on YouTube, right? But they were in a toxic environment, we'll say, right, James? And hate breeds hate, as I said before, because I understood that situation growing up in that, right? So I said, hang on now here. Like, this is a whole little corner of YouTube where there is a few people that are 100% genuine, but toxicity is through the roof, right? So I said, I'm going to start applying a program. Like, that's what I'm at. I'm applying another way of life, the same way I do you understand, James, but through
Yeah.
this toxic corner of YouTube. And now the bit of the corner that we have here is not too toxic, James. There's a bit of banter, but it's not toxic.
Mate, I
So
agree with you. I agree with you 100%, you know,
it's
100%.
working. It's
It is, mate.
working. It's applying itself. I applied a program to a certain group of people and they enjoyed it, they picked up on it, and they follow through on it.
I remember, I'm trying to think back to, I think it was, one of Jimmy's lives, one of his, his earlier lives, and you jumped on yourself, and I think that was like the first sort of time that obviously I found you and was aware of your channel. Jimmy Newman, right? Jimmy, he's the top boy. I've got a lot of love for Jimmy. I know you do too, JP. You know, big shout out to Jimmy Newman. And he's a good guy. You know, I'd like to think now I've befriended Jimmy, and I'd like to think we're going to be friends for a long time. And he's somebody who wears his heart on his sleeve. You know, is an emotional guy. He's an honest guy. He's an open guy. And in some ways as well, like Jimmy has his own little battles, as we all do. And Jimmy has that as well. Was that something that like you picked up on early days with like Jimmy
Yes.
and Scotty
Yes.
and you felt you could help and influence as well?
I thought I could have a positive input in the situation because I could understand exactly, as I said in treatment, giving back James. I knew where them two boys were at, and Jimmy's a deadly decent fella, and I see he had things he wanted questions answered within himself, and he was thinking I'd have a bear up. Like I can relate to that 100%, James. You know what I mean? So I said, this fella's all right here. He's not like the big toxic side of YouTube I'm watching all the time. We'll jump on and have a chat with this fella because he seems all right. Do you understand? There was no, this so come into the forest now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There was no come into
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
forest and all this crack. No, this fella was like, I'm not saying I'm this, I'm not saying I'm that, but I want to give it a go. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're going to jump on and have a chat with him. He's a good fella. You know what I mean?
And
And Scotty suffering
yeah,
with his own addictions. Like, I have been there with them benzodiazepine tablets, James. And
yeah, yeah.
like,
And I know that genuinely you want the best for people. You know, I know
100%.
that. I know that, mate. And there's a lot of people who are the opposite, and they want to see people struggle. They want to see people fail. They want to see people suffer. And there is an element of that as well, especially in this corner of YouTube. But like you say, there's an area in YouTube with yourself, Jimmy, Liam, some of the other boys. There's a big community there as well that's built up, and that community spreads the love between the channels, and it's great. Like sometimes I'll tune into somewhere on YouTube and start chatting in the comments with guys who will have on a live, or it might be in your community or Jimmy's community, and I see the entire corner of YouTube as one community, mate. I
yes,
see it as one big community, and like any community, you've got good and bad, and but all those people are there for that reason. If they want to be there because they enjoy your content and they want to watch something that's a positivity, and wanting to help people and make a difference, like I'm a strong believer, mate, that in life, if we can do that, everyone's world becomes a better place, and if people help each other, everyone's going to achieve, and everyone's going to, start reaching the goals as well, and I've got to say, mate, like you very much, I'd say probably like the one person, in my opinion, on YouTube the most who has that level of understanding and positivity and really wanting to try and help people and make a difference genuinely, has that come about, John, since you got yourself better and you felt
Yes.
like, I've done this for me, which you might probably thought you were a lost cause yourself at one point, and then you've turned it around, mate. You've got your family, you've got your daughter. Was that the point that then you started thinking, it's time for me to give back, like you say, and help other people?
I'll tell you exactly, James, right? No one will understand how negative I was to be this positive. I put it to you that way. I had to go from one extreme to the other. I was in the depths of despair and misery, drug addiction. I had the most rottenest personality, the most ego-driven, egotistical driven big man. I'm the big man. You understand? I wasn't. I was the unhappy, not happy in myself, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, low everything. So that's why I was so negative. But when I got better in myself and I became confident, I became self-accountable, I took action, I became positive then. And I was like, I can spot it from a mile away. When someone is in them depths of despair and negativity, I can feel it. So if I can help that person understand that they're hurting themselves as well as everyone else, that's me giving back to someone that was in a similar situation to myself, James. Do you understand?
And I can imagine, like, for yourself, because you'll know that pain and hurt that you've had to suffer yourself, and coming out of that, I can imagine, is it almost like third person looking in at yourself and you can see the change and you can see
That's
the difference.
why I stayed on, James, for the extra 4 months. I knew once I started to understand how sick and how sick from addiction I was and how warped my thoughts on life were at the time. I was like, 3 months opened my eyes just a little bit to say, you're not ready to leave here yet. You have to stay here another 4 months or you're just going to go back to the way you were. Do you understand?
That's big respect, that as well, because you must have got to a point in yourself where you knew that after 3 months, and I'm sure there'll have been a part of you after 3 months that thought,
I wanted to
it's come
run.
to an end, and
I wanted to get out. I said, "This is
Yeah.
done now. I have done everything everyone is asking me because there was nothing holding me there, James. I had everyone said it planned for me, and they said I could have been back around me children and chorus and never been grand and left alone. But to make sure that I sustained that recovery, I said I need longer here. As I said, I became completely honest with myself, even to the degree that I was landing myself in more time in treatment. Do you understand? But I had to if I went out after been 20 odd years in the height of it, right, or whatever, 18 years or 17 years, if I went from that, 3 months wasn't fixing that. Do you know what I mean, James? 3 months is only putting a plaster on a shotgun wound. Do you know what I mean?
100%, mate. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And when you were in it, John Paul, how was that sort of broken down? Were you there like once, twice a week, or
I was living there.
you were literally residential
treatment, residential rehabilitation, extensive psychotherapy, extensive drug therapy, extensive one-to-one counseling, extensive self-reflection of self, like extreme. As I said, I was extreme in drug use and I got extreme in sobriety.
Nah, mate. I think it's fucking brilliant. If I'm honest with you, John Paul, I think it really is, mate. And I can just imagine how hard that must have been as well, with your partner and a new daughter, and knowing in your own mind that for them you had to stay away from them for a bit longer to make sure that you were 100%. And the fact that you'd got that support with your partner, they must have seen as well that a change in yourself and that it was helping you.
Well, my partner still to this day still can't believe it. I don't even smoke cigarettes anymore, James. Do you understand? That's how like I went from smoking about 30 roll-ups a day to I don't even smoke anymore. Do you know what I mean?
It's an incredible. It must be an incredible feeling, mate, to have that like inner power as well, because you know that you found yourself, haven't you? After so long, like you say, and then you've suddenly found yourself, and it's like, well, hang on, if I don't need this that I've always needed, and I don't need that I've always needed, then the tobacco can go, and
It was nothing.
yeah,
I like push-ups. That's what got me off of the roll-ups. There was the last thing I gave up was roll-ups, right, James? And I was just in this house, this apartment here I'm living in now at the minute, about a year ago. That was the last thing I gave up, right? And I just turned around, looked around, and I was looking like smoking. Do you know the way the slag was got you in the brown thumb?
yeah.
I was getting the rolly thumb because I went from not drinking drugs or not anymore, but I was smoking roll-ups every day to drink the van, right? So I started doing push-ups one day. I do 100 push-ups every time I wanted to roll up, and then in the day I ended up doing 600 and 700 push-ups a day, right? Then eventually I didn't want to roll up anymore, James.
Mate, I can understand that. I mean, I've had some bad health recently, but when you go into the gym and you're using the gym regularly, like the last thing you want to do when you come out of the gym and you might go for a swim in a sauna or whatever, and you get showered and you come out, the last thing on your mind is to put a cigarette in your mouth, and start smoking. Just
Yeah.
doesn't even come into it, does it? And
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss being in that position, and I've not had it for a few years, to be fair, and that's difficult as well, but mate, honest to God, like it's quite a turnaround, It's quite a turnaround to think where you were, everything that you were using, like you say, apart from crack and heroin, to get to the point that you're fucking knocking the rollie on the head. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, James. Like I never in a million years. I thought at least I'd be smoking cannabis and rollies and all for the rest of my life. At least, right? Whatever imagination in my head, I thought I could give up everything. I always thought I'd be smoking weed and roll-ups for the rest of my days, right? And that all, the drugs went, the weed went, all that went, and the roll-ups was the last thing in my mind. Is like, right, I just smoke a rollie now. And just
Yeah,
came to me one day, what's the fucking point? I'm not even getting. When I was on the drugs, I was doing it for the buzz. I'm not even getting a
yeah.
buzz off of this. You know what I mean?
You're not even enjoying it. You're not, gets to a point. It says me as I'm about to make a rollie here, but it gets to a point. The worst thing with me is first thing in the morning and after I've eaten. Like after I've eaten, I always want to have a smoke. After I've eaten anything, and I'm shocking. Like first thing in the morning, it's that first hit. But to be fair, I went onto these vapes recently, and the actual vapes have cut me so much down on this. Now they're not your standard vapes. They're not your standard
Well,
vapes.
you were telling me before. I know the vape you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, it's cut. I'd say it's cut my smoking down by probably about 50-60%.
Lovely.
Yeah, and I feel much better in myself as well. I've not, in the past I've done kind of I've not touched that in over a month. And just stuck to this little vape, um, and it's done me grand. And I'm hoping now that in myself, that I can get myself back to the gym. I can start feeling better because there's medical stuff going on, but I've been on heavy medication for the last like 6-7 years now, and it gets to a point where your medication was there in the first place to treat these medical conditions, but after 6-7 years of using these drugs and medication, that starts fucking with you completely as well. I had this conversation with my GP last week. So at the minute, I'm going through a process where we're going to start mixing up my meds and taking things away, because they had me on morphine, mate, and when I was on morphine, they just kept increasing the dosage and I was like a fucking zombie. I had no quality of life whatsoever, none whatsoever. I was just in fucking pain every day, following the accident, and so I thought, no, I've got to get off this morphine. It's not doing me any good, and the pain angle I can live with. Pain don't bother me, So all of the chronic pain related stuff, like that stems back to the accident, isn't something that bothers me. I can handle that. I can handle that. The biggest thing for me is waking up every day and having zero energy, and that's been the case for over a year, And whether you have 14 hours sleep or 3 hours sleep, you wake up feeling like your battery's at 10%, and that's ME. I'm diagnosed ME as well, which factors in. But it's about 7-8 medical conditions that I've actually got, 3 heart conditions and bits and pieces, and it all happened in the space of 6 months. So I was in hospital and just fucking. As soon as I had my little boy, as soon as Jude was born, 2 weeks into paternity leave with work, I was in hospital, and I'd hit the wall. I'd had the accident. I was running the business. My partner, she was obviously pregnant on maternity, so I was carrying the load and going through it. Just on cocodamol, and then they put me on what is it? Fucking horrible tablets.
Oxycontin, is it? Oxycodone.
No, they tried. They wanted to put me on that when I was coming off tramadol. Just tramadol. So I went from
I know the ones you're on about.
Yeah, cocodamol to tramadol. But I was like, while I was working, I was on like maximum. So I was having like 8 tramadol, 8 cocodamol each day just to get myself through, because my big lower back problems. And mate, I hit the wall and I went through some fucking dark times, and there's people like yourself that I think are important to be on YouTube and to be speaking to people. And mate, your channel is growing and growing and growing. Hopefully, let's hope, this weekend the podcast goes out and it puts you over 1,000 subs. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. And I really hope that it happens, because from myself getting to know you as well, you're an absolute stand-up bloke, and for me, that's one of the most important things in life. Honestly, mate, it's one of the most important things in life. I've got no time for bullshit. Like, I just haven't, and I don't know about yourself, but I get to a point where you give people a chance, and if they break that chance, then the ties are cut, and see you later.
It's not worth the hassle to yourself. You'll only harm yourself otherwise up here. You'll only affect yourself here if you keep them around, James. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, mate. And it's I've always been about keeping your circle tight and the people that matter. And like, I can count on one hand the people who I know will be there for me through thick and thin, And I've got a lot of love for them.
3 people, James. Me mother, me father, and me missus. That's it. Do you understand?
And your daughter, mate. Your daughter as well.
My daughters as well, but at the minute, me mother, me father, me missus.
Yeah.
That's the 3 adults in my life, and that's it. You understand?
Well, that's a good 3 people there, mate.
Yeah.
That's a good 3 people there, My mum, love her to bits. So, I don't have any qualms in saying that. She raised me and my sister as a single mum, ran businesses, made sure that we were looked after. So I've got nothing but the utmost respect for my mum. But like, my mum's now in her 70s, so she's getting into later life. It's difficult because as well, I want to be able to help her. So there's times when you're really struggling yourself, like, but you've got to do things. You've got to push it. And I don't know about yourself or other people, but when I've got my son with me, everything's 100 times easier. 100
Yeah.
times easier, you know. So as soon as my boy's away, then it becomes a lot harder. It's like he's the best medication I've ever had, my son. You know, better than fucking hell. I could reel off, mate. Probably I don't know 16 meds that I take daily, right? Maybe 5 different heart meds and then you know I've got like patches and fucking all sorts of stuff going on. But it's got to the point now, JP, where I've been that ill for the last year and that poorly that I've gone to the GP and said, well, look, if you're not going to do fuck all for me in the way that we are, then we're going to change this, you know. And if that means that we start taking away the medication. Yeah, it's scary, mate. It's a scary process because I remember being in hospital and I remember 6 months of absolute hell, you know, absolute hell until they started doing the works, diagnosing, medicating, and then I slowly started getting that bit of life back again. But bro, it's a dangerous thing, you know. And I think I just raising it in terms of obviously it's completely different, but in its own way, it is an addiction as well. Because
Oh, it's addiction.
mate,
Addiction.
I've been dependent upon this medication now for the last like nearly 7 years, and it's got to a point where I don't feel like it's doing me any favors, you know. And I think the
But
side
James, it's
effects.
an opioid-based medication, so you're getting an opioid-based withdrawal. Like, you understand?
Yeah,
So that's That's dangerous, James. You have to take your time with that. You can't just come right off, or you can have serious complications. You get me?
I know. Yeah, I know when because originally they had me on morphine, and then I was taking tramadol, maximum tramadol every day as well, um, and different bits and pieces. I came off the tramadol and morphine, and they put me onto these Butrans patches. They offered me OxyContin and Oxynorm, and there's another one as well, another patch as well. I think I can't think of what it's called, but a similar like opioid patch. But these Butrans patches they gave me quality of life back. You know, when I came off the morphine, the pain was more, but I wasn't continuously having to up my dosage of morphine because you become dependent upon it, and then it's not working anymore. So they have to keep increasing and increasing, and you end up fucking cabbaged. You know, you end up like you can't function, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it just got to the point where I'm like, I've got a little boy, you know, my boy has just turned 7 at the start of the year, at the end of January. He needs his fucking dad. He needs his dad to be able to kick a football around the park with him, and he needs his dad to, you know, to take him to the boxing, and he needs his, you know, to do everything, take him swimming, do these things. And so the pain, JP, isn't a problem for me, mate. I can deal with the pain. The hardest thing for me, bro, has been that energy and you know,
Well,
having
that's
the
powerful stuff, James. So you can live with the pain, but you can't live with letting your son down. So you can
yeah,
exactly. Oh, that's powerful stuff, James. I swear to
yeah.
you, that's powerful stuff. You understand?
It's
And I
difficult,
can
mate. You
relate.
know,
I can relate to that exact feeling you're on about. Do you understand?
yeah, it's difficult. It's been a fucking like it's been the toughest year this last year that I've had since when my son was first born. You know, 7 years
Yeah.
ago. So this is all relative to me. So speaking to you about this now, you know, it's not something that I've really spoken that openly about over YouTube myself as well. You know, but obviously, you know, with you, we both know each other. You're sharing, and in its own way, I know that I'm dependent upon these drugs. You know, I know that I am, but the drugs don't send me watching the fucking ceiling or. Do you know what I mean? The drugs that I've taken will probably knock your everyday man out cold, but
Oh,
to me,
100%.
it makes me function. Do you know what I mean? So to me, it's what I've needed to be able to function and do stuff. But I just feel, bro, that now's the time to give it a chance. Try and come off the meds and just fucking push through, you know, and see if I can what I can do myself as well, you know. but like you say, it is dangerous as well because you are dealing with opioids, and there's stuff that I like amitriptyline at night. A lot of very heavy gabapentin as well because I've got like a condition called POTS, which is cardiological but neurological as well. So there's lots of stuff going on, and some of the meds I probably aren't going to be able to come off, you know. But mate, I'm sick of fucking walking around rattling. You know, with that many fucking meds, it's ridiculous, JP.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what they said to me in treatment. You get
Yeah.
sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's it, mate. Yeah.
Okay. 100%, James. I know that exact feeling. I know because there's a physical withdrawal from the benzodiazepines as well, right? And I got hallucinations and seizures and borderline seizure and out and all that myself, right? But the sayings that got me through treatment were, it stopped being fun a long time ago, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's it,
Them,
yeah.
them two things, they resonate when you know it. If anyone that understands that them two sayings resonate very much with the person. Do you understand? And at the start, it's fun. I had doing it with the boys, having a laugh, But when it stops being fun a long time ago, you're chasing then. You're trying to fill a void then. Do you understand, James?
Yeah, definitely, mate.
I'm
Definitely.
sick and tired. I've been sick and tired. As you said, that exact feeling you're having of being on them medications is you're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's it, mate. When you're taking medication every day and you're getting nowhere, you know, you're getting nowhere. It's like something's got to give you. You know, something has to change. I've got to make, but I know, like when I come off the morphine before, I've got to make that change myself. And then you know, but anyway, we'll lighten it up again. So in terms of the boys, so I know that you've got a good relationship. We've got Jimmy, we've got Scotty, we've got Andy. We can include as well. We've got Liam, yourself, and you sort of made this bond with these people as well. And what's nice to see is everybody's helping each other. You know, if somebody's having a bit of a shit day, there's 3 other people there to pick them up, and
100%.
it's very powerful. Honestly, it's very, very powerful. And
James, this is the ethos of recovery as well. Like, if you're having a shit day in AA or NA, you pick up the phone. Here, man, my head is smashed. This is what's going on. Can you relate? What helped you with this time? And that's the wonderful thing about the fellowship and the brotherhood and all this. This is what's deadly about it. There's always someone that has went through the exact same thing you're doing. And if they're doing well, they found the tools how to get through it. Do you understand? So they can advise you on, well, look, this happened to me this time. This is what I'm done, and this is how I got through it. So you can try that as another approach for you trying to deal with something. Do you understand?
yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. And is that something as well then, JP, that you
I
sort of
have a sponsor.
intentionally you intentionally instill that as well in terms of your group and your friends and people you talk to.
I apply NA and AA without using the headline NN or AA, James. I just slip it into conversation. I subconsciously pass it through to people. They start feeling better about themselves. Little do they know, they're applying steps out of NA and AA, just not under the guise of NA and AA, and it's working for them. I'm looking at it every day, it's working for them. Like,
Is that helping you as well, mate? Does it?
it
Yeah,
just reassures me that NA
yeah,
and AA works.
yeah,
It
yeah,
also, like, I'm looking at helping people if I can, like, fair enough. If I can help someone, lovely. And if they are the information I give them is just information I've got from the rooms, like.
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
that
mate,
instills my faith that NA and AA works, because it's working for people under the guise of they don't even know I'm saying this from NA and AA, and it's helping them. So I know where it's coming from, and I know what the information's doing, and it's working for me, and it's working for them, and it's working for people before and after me. So it works if you work it, James. You know what I mean? Do you
Yeah,
understand?
100%, mate. And what you're doing as well, JP, is you're instilling that into your everyday life, and into your thinking and your mentality and everything, and it's doing, mate. It's doing wonders, and all credit to you. And in terms of being able to turn your own life around for all the right reasons, mate. For yourself and your family and your daughter and your children. Like I think, mate. Honestly, massive respect and power to you, but not just for doing it yourself, but then for wanting to help other people as well. That's something that's not with everyone. It's not with everyone. You've still got to be a special kind of person to do that. There's plenty of people that'll go through the program who will come out the other end of it, but they're not going to do what you're doing. And do you think, JP, that because you were so heavily addicted and that was all you knew, that was your life, that um that these things are going to be an ongoing process, if you like, for the rest of your life?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
There is character defects. I still have to, like, I'm still easily wound up, James. I'm just able to mask it better now. Do you understand? That's a character defect of mine. I've learned to deal with that. I've learned to pull myself back and say, here, John, you don't need to give this a reaction, kid. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
have chats with myself, James. Like, in my head, I'm saying, here, kid, this is what he's saying, but he's coming from a place that you were. You don't have to react to this. You were in that exact place saying them exact things, kid, when you weren't happy in your head. So you don't give this a reaction, and the shot doesn't even count. Do you understand? Like, if you don't react to the shot didn't happen. Do you
yeah,
understand? It's all here, James. Behind it all, you have to learn to have a firm grip of this. Do you understand?
yeah. Definitely, mate. I think that's one thing in myself, like the all of the physical problems that I've had, and but in some ways, it's made me mentally stronger.
Yes.
Very much physically weaker, but mentally stronger. And I'm very
Yes.
much about I'm I'm happy with the person who I am today. I'm happy with that, and every day, mate, I just want to aspire to be the best dad that I can be. And that doesn't come out my head even when I'm not with my son. Um, but it's difficult. What would you say to people, JP, who maybe don't have that massive pull of having children, and where they might be a bit more difficult for them to help themselves, if you like?
I'm going to say a few words here, James. First off, I'm going to say forgive yourself, right? That is a main thing. You have to forgive yourself for what, because insecurities, neglect of self, low self-esteem, these are all actions against yourself. So forgive yourself, right? Don't mind what has been. Start working towards what will be. So forgive yourself for neglecting yourself for ages, right? Be try, even if fake it till you make it. Be self-confident in yourself until you are actually self-confident. Until, if you keep telling yourself up here, I am confident of my abilities, I'm confident I can do this, even when you're uncertain. Eventually what you think is what you become, and what you do is what happens. Do you understand? Forgive yourself, be self-confident in yourself. You are worth the same as any other person on this planet. You are not lower than any other person on this planet. Every person is equal than to the next person, right? The loved ones, keep the people that matter. Be good to the people that matter to you before you're good to anyone else. Make
Yeah,
sure it's the people that around you are a happy household, a happy life, and a happy everything before. And then, good and well, if you can help anyone else after that, good and well. But look after your own circle first. Do you understand, James?
100%, mate. That makes complete sense in terms of and first and foremost, like you say, for people who have struggled, and to be able to forgive themselves is probably one of the biggest steps I can imagine that you have to take.
100%. and be honest with yourself. If you're in a situation, right, Jim, that you have to be completely honest with yourself
Yeah.
in your shortcomings, in your insecurities, as well as be honest in your good qualities. But you have to be equally and honest in your bad qualities as well. You have to be equals in all ventures of your life, all aspects of your life. You have to be 100% honest in it. And when you start deploying all these things, James, you start becoming a better person. Like subconsciously, you don't even realize it till you're actually a different way of thinking, and you start to realize, oh look, yeah. Do you understand? It just happens. If you do all these things, you apply all these things like to an exact regimen, like it starts to pay off, and you don't realize it till you're there, and you're like, oh yeah, I have a few quid left over. Not all my money is not gone on drugs. I'm not robbing to feed a habit. I'm not bullying fucking fellas and own the money and tell them I'm not going to pay and fuck off. You're not doing all these bad things to people. You know what I mean? You're not leaving I would have left other people in debts, and that was their problem, James. It's not my
Yeah.
problem. I just took the drugs and didn't pay you. No, I
Yeah.
left them people that were suffering in addiction as well to pay debts that weren't theirs because they were mine and I didn't pay them. Do you understand, James?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
you have to take full accountability for everything. You can't, like, if someone done you were wrong, right? Fair enough. It's out of your control, right? But if you done the wrong and tried to blame it on someone else, that's
Yeah.
deflecting. That's not being self accountable for your actions. You understand? That doesn't help. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just have to be
Definitely.
completely honest. Well, like my family do not have to worry about getting a phone call saying I'm dead, I'm after killing someone, I'm in custody, I'm in hospital, I've lost my mind. They don't have to worry about any of them phone calls anymore. Do you understand? My mother used to say to me, I'm waiting for the day you're getting a phone call that you're dead. Right? She doesn't say it anymore. You know what I mean, James?
How is it? Because obviously, you've said the closest people to you. You've got your mum, your dad, and your partner. Um, how is that now when they see you now as a completely different man to who you were only a few years ago? Like,
I'd say it's mad for him. I haven't really asked him, James, to be honest, right? But I reckon it. My mother says I'm very proud all the time because she does see a difference, like, right? I haven't really asked him, but you can tell by the way they talk to me now is different. The way, like, the trust that's in me now is different. You couldn't have gave me a fiver and told me to hold that for a minute, James, and it was gone. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I was, like, you know what I mean? Like, dogs, like, my mother went on holidays one time. I tried to sell her, I tried to sell her food, or what you call them? She had a pub, one thing with the squash faces and all. She went off to England on holidays one time. So I was that stuff for money, trying to sell the pug and everything, James. I was lethal, like, you know what I mean? But I laugh at these things now, like, you know what I mean? Like, I had it up on Facebook for sale, a pug. My mother seen it. She said, don't you be selling the dog, you know? You know what I mean? You couldn't, if it wasn't bolted to the floor, it was gone, James. You know what I mean?
mate, it's and I know people myself who've suffered bad addiction to hard stuff as well, and families. I've got friends where the brothers have struggled and been in that cycle, in and out of prison, and it's sad to see. And I've got friends who've lost people, who haven't done what you've done, and they've given up, and it's very sad, where you know people, and you see them struggling, and then you find out that they're no longer about, and I've got close friends with family members that's happened to, and it is really sad, mate, and so it is something that um, I am passionate about, because I honestly believe, like, positivity breeds positivity, and if you're
100%.
you're spreading your message. We do lives. We can get on a live. We can have a fucking natter for an hour. you know, we can put things right. You know, there's people in the chat. People are enjoying it. Last night, great live. Really enjoyed it. You know, we jumped on after the YouTube Wars thing, and you know, and we had a real good chat. And it was bad because I watched a bit of it back, and I thought, fucking hell, like we was that just you know in tune with the chat and the actual live that you feel like you're neglecting the people as well at times in the comments. But you know it's difficult sometimes on your phone to bring up the comments as well when when you're doing it on the phone. But honest to God, mate, like everybody that you've got on your channel that's following you, there's some proper fucking good people about, you know.
And they're the best. I always says it, boy. The comment section of my videos is deadly, James. Like, it's deadly.
You know, you say as well. We'll give him a shout and a mention as well to Kudo. So obviously, Kudo, you knew previously because it was your cellmate. You know,
he was my cellmate inside car prison. Yeah.
You know, you've got your cellmate. You do your time. You come out. You start your YouTube. You turn your life around. And then all of a sudden, Kudo stumbles across your
Kudo's been
YouTube.
watching me for months, and I never knew it was Kudo. 100%.
But stuff like that, mate, to me, it's meant to happen. It's meant to happen, you know. There's a reason sometimes in life. Like I think there's some certain things in life. Sometimes it's like things are meant to happen, you know, and things happen for a reason, and especially stuff like that to reconnect with Kudo, who seems a sound lad, you know, proper sound boy. Fucking love the fact that he had his recent bit with a crow, and he rescued the crow and got the crow back to health. And those people that don't know, but yeah, Russell the crow's now flown, but
back to the nature.
mate, but I mean, top credit to Kudo. Do you know what I mean? Like that as well. Like it tells a bit about him and you know what he's about as well. And yeah, I've just have a good, very good feeling about this corner and the way it is. It's always spoken about being the dark corner of YouTube, and you know, it's sort of the whole fucking corner is built around Decker Heggie at the end of the day. You know, that's the truth of it. You know, that's the truth of it. And people have built channels off him and this and that until this we've got this corner of YouTube. So you can understand in some ways people's mentality thinking it's a dark corner of YouTube. But in the same respect, there's good fucking people here as well, you know. There's yourself, there's Jimmy, you know, there's some good people who are real people, genuine people. Hand on heart, I can say 100%. You know, yourself, Jimmy, Liam, everyone are exactly the same away from YouTube as you know as people are on YouTube. You know, and there's no putting on a show. There's no putting on an act. Just real people. You know, sharing the stories, trying to help each other, and you know, and just trying to make a better place. Like, and I know we touched on it last night, JP, when we said about having young kids, and it's a scary place at times. You know, the world that we live in today, and the way that things are going with society, and
100%.
that's my biggest worry. You know, what if you could change anything, JP? If you know, if someone said to you, right, you've got the power to make some changes, where would your changes start?
Stop trying to indoctrinate the children. Leave the children grow up to be children. That's where it starts, James. Let the children stop, like, the way things are going and progressing now. Like, they're trying to teach children things too early. Leave them.
I know, like,
leave them have their innocence and let them discover who they are. Don't be telling them what they are. Do you understand?
I remember at the end of reception year, So my son's first year at primary school. At the end of the reception year, I had a thing come out to me saying about sex education, and it was like, if you got any questions or this, that, or the rest, and I'm thinking, why are schools going into sex education with children at primary school age? You don't need to even be thinking about anything along those lines, And I'm a strong believer as well that children are easily influenced at young ages, and they're very much tuned into school. I know my son is, and fair play to my boy. He's excelling at school and is doing really well, and I hope, long may it continue. But
Fair play.
but from that point of view, as a dad, I'm thinking, why are 6-year-old children being, dealing with these situations and going through these things? Like, they've not, they're not, the bodies, the minds, everything are nowhere near even approaching that type of subject. So um, why as a country, why as a government are we enforcing this onto our children at a young
Exactly.
age? It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Like,
And
no
that's
sense.
scary, James. What is the agenda behind that? Why is this been done? Do you understand?
It is scary, mate, and I it does worry me, JP. I ain't gonna lie. Like, my focus is my boy, and that's it. He's my
Yeah.
life now. He's my life,
Yeah.
and he's everything. So, to me, it is a worrying thing. And I can't see things getting better, mate, at the minute. I honestly can't. So I think from that point of view, like, the fact that people can get together and speak openly and honestly, and get people on. You put your StreamYard link out. You invite people onto your panel. Some people are happy just sat in the comments. Some people might get to a point where they've been in the comments for 2 months and then they'll jump on and have a chat. And that it's only channels like yours and Jimmy's that is going to encourage that from people. You're
100%.
encouraging that, and it is shining a fucking. There is a there is a little fucking light in this dark corner,
Oh,
And
there is.
there's some good fucking people on YouTube as well. Trust me, there's some good people. There's some pricks. Don't get me wrong, right? There's some pricks, but there are some good people as well. I think in life, mate, in general, good people recognise good people,
Oh,
And
million percent. You know your own once you see him, James. If you're anywhere inclined to be not a dickhead and anywhere inclined to be straightforward and straight to the point without sugarcoating things and being a good fella in general, right? You'll see that in someone else. Just like a negative person will notice a negative person, right? A positive person will notice a positive person. Energies. There's energies on people. Charisma, the way people carry themselves, the way they go about explaining situations. Like, you can explain the same situation, you can explain in a positive and a negative way.
yeah,
Do you understand?
yeah,
And if
yeah,
someone's explaining a situation in a way, well, look, this is what happened, but you can make things better, positive, right? But look, this is what happens, and this, and this negative. Do you understand?
yeah, yeah.
Because two, you can explain the same situation each way. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So JP, like, now at the minute, mate, you've got this big project. It's a massive
Yeah.
project that you're doing. Kudo's involved as well. He's helping you, and um, it's a big deal. There's no denying that it is a big deal, mate. But you're doing it. And all fair play and fucking credit to you boys for doing it. So in the future, obviously, hopefully in the next few months, that can be put into fruition, and we can see that grow as well, and hopefully start something big for yourself as well, mate. And in terms of what's happening over there with Bare Knuckle as well. And I know from yourself, from speaking to you as well, that at some point, probably into next year, you'll get across. I know you've got family commitments and stuff at the minute, but you'll get across and want to be able to test your mettle, if you like, as well. You know, across here with some of the BKB platforms over here as well.
1,000,000%, James. This has been like behind the scenes. I have commitments at the minute. I've been explaining to you and you explain to other people, Simon and all, right? But the minute them commitments are done, James, I am straight over. I am straight on the board because that's where it's happening. Do you understand? That's what's happening.
Hand on heart. Obviously, we're going to keep in touch, and I'll help you as much as I can, mate, in any way that I can, in order for you to get, to get to where you want to be as well with your platform. And when that's done and that's set, I honestly believe that. I don't know. I honestly believe that it's almost like a bit of a calling for you in life, the way it comes across.
It's all I ever knew, James. Like, it was my mother said to me, I told you, take it into the ring and make it feel quicker. Because all I ever knew was arguing, fighting.
Yeah.
That's like, I knew no, and it's sad in a way, but it's funny as well, like, because inside me all my life, I should have been doing this. Do you understand, James? But I got so distracted and so wrapped up in drugs and arguing with other families and all this and that and the other that I never gave myself a chance. Do you understand?
Yes,
I'm giving myself the chance now and I don't look back. But if I did look back, I'd be thinking, where would I be now if I took it in the right way, James? Do you understand?
Yes, bro.
Because, like, I have fear in me, right? But it excites me, if that makes sense to you. When I get a fear of something, it's not like, oh, I don't want to show you. No, it makes me want to do it more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way I've always been. If something put a bit of fear in me, it makes me wonder, am I able for this situation? Let's find out. Do you understand, James? It's mad, like, you know what I mean?
You come across as like you're incredibly driven, and that was probably the same way when you were in your addiction as well, And
I didn't go without James in addiction. Do you know why? Because I made sure I didn't. Do you understand? And no matter what the situation, no money, grand, I'll be back in an hour. You know what I mean? And I'd have a few quid. Do you know what I mean? Just like I haven't this money to put together this event yet, but I want to do it the proper way, and I will have the money. I will go source the money. I will find the money. Do you understand, James?
Yes, mate. 100%. I've got, honestly, JP, I've got nothing but fucking respect, and I think you're gonna make it happen, bro.
I will. I know it has to be done, James. I will. I'm going to say it now. It will happen. It will happen
100%,
this
mate.
year. It'll happen this year. 100%.
And hopefully, when it does, I'm not abroad with the boy, and it'll work out. And it's not a hard place to go jump on an easy jet or whatever and have a quick nip across. And it may honestly, you get it sorted, and I'll do everything in my power to be there for that event as well.
James, 1,000,000%. I'm thinking of a date, right? I have it in the June bank holiday weekend. I'm thinking it gives me enough time to get things together. So the 1st of June, the June bank holiday weekend is the 3rd of June here in Ireland, right? The 1st of June is a Saturday. That'd be the ideal day given the time. So that if I can get this insurance sorted Monday and this venue booked for it, I'm going to try book it for the 1st of June. Have the insurance sorted, have the venue booked, WK all back, then it's sorted. We just have to sort the ambulances and all that then. That'll come after, you get me? But the 1st of June is the date I have in mind. Because it's 2 days before the June bank holiday. So that's the long weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Do you get me?
Honestly, I think everything, because I mean we've spoken a lot away from YouTube as well about it, and everything that you're doing the right way.
Yeah.
Everything, mate. You're doing it the right way. You're not cutting corners. You're not doing anything like that. You're making sure that everything's right. And I've got nothing but fucking utmost respect for you and what you're doing, the way you are, your channel. You're going to hit 1,000 subs probably in the next couple of weeks easily. And there's people that want it and need it. And I think in this corner of YouTube as well, it's always classed as the dark corner. It's full of all the freaks and the negativity and all the rest of it. But all these people in comments are people. Somebody like me, somebody like you said before you started doing it, you were just there using your channel in the comments, watching and found your way into this sort of corner of YouTube as well. And it's the same for a lot of people. So it can't be underestimated what you're doing and the message that you're sending to people, on a daily basis as well.
100%, James. But what got me involved as well, James, is when I see someone of the one way of my thinking and they're not sure themselves and they're talking about it and they're trying to pursue something, I start jumping on and say, do it, kid. Do it.
Yeah.
Nothing stopping you. What's stopping you? The only person stopping you is you if you're using this. This will stop you more. This has caused more regret than anything in any person, James.
Yeah.
You don't regret the things you do, like. You regret the things you didn't do. Do you understand?
100%, mate. It's the biggest holdback for most people in life is themselves and their own mentality and mindset. And it really is. So you give me a bit of a sum up then about the boys. So obviously, we've said Jimmy and Andy, they're looking to get it back on if Andy's fit and well. End of April at YouTube Wars.
I have a message for Andy Goodhander, right? If he is going through a moment of self-doubt, right? Andy, you'll regret not participating in these things in the long run. Just like Jimmy regretted pulling out of that fight.
Yeah.
That's why Jimmy came back and tried to give it a second go. Now he has the go-ahead, right? Liam regretted not being able to have that fight with, and he lived with the thought of not having, and now they're going to run it again, right? Andy, you do not want to live with regret, brother. I promise you. I live with regretting things all my life, alright? Follow through on it. Win, lose, or draw. You've done it. Even don't let the psychological side of anything affect you. Let it over your head. Because that's all it is. Talk and psychology.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it last night.
Action is action, and talk and psychology is just to deter you. You understand?
Yeah, we touched on it last night as well, mate, and said, like, I hope, like, for Andy, I know Andy's a good guy. Andy is a good guy. I know Andy. I took Andy to his last event for the European title shot at Fight Fest 4 last year. We had the day together. We had a cracking day together. And I know the man's, he's a good bloke, but Andy's got his own demons as well. And YouTube can be a brutal place at times. So I think if Andy can tune in and think, do you know what, I'm just going to block out that noise. Fuck what people think. They don't impact me. They don't impact my family. They've got no impact on my life. They're just taking the piss for whatever reason. And if you can get into that mentality without worrying about what what people who are just trolling, basically, at the end of the day, and if you can get beyond that, I think that'll be a massive thing for Andy himself as well.
The most bulletproof man on YouTube is Scott Chegg. He should sit there and watch. There should be an edit of Scott Chegg just stuff bouncing off him and he's not even acknowledging it, right? And you should watch it, hold clips of that for hours, and he'll start seeing how to be resilient to this YouTube thing, right? Because Scott Chegg is the most resilient man to criticism on YouTube. I promise you.
He gets some shit, mate. He gets some shit, and he's a top boy as well. Do you know what?
He's 100%. Scott Chegg is sound.
Mate, big up Scott Chegg. Like, he's a good lad, and but again, like, he knows the dance. He knows the game, and the thing with Scott Chegg is, he gets it. He knows what it's about. He knows it's fucking banter. He knows it's having a laugh. And to be fair to Scotch Egg as well, he can give it out as much as he gets
Oh,
as
he
well
can.
when he
Of
needs
course
to.
he can.
You know
Of
what I
course
mean?
he can.
But no, and then you've obviously we've got Liam as well, who couldn't fight. He had his abscess, so he couldn't fight Burger Joint podcast. So that was a disappointment for him. There was Jimmy's disappointment; he had to pull out. You'll know as well as I know for quite some time now that Jimmy has been thinking about
And
fucking.
Liam, they've been sitting there and they've been
Yeah,
seeing
mate.
the comment section. Liam, there was a Facebook page called Liam's Missing Abscess. All right. And
Well,
that,
I don't know if Jimmy was talking to you when he was going to physio and stuff like that, and then the physio was saying to him like, "No, this isn't. You know, you'll be all right. You know." And Jimmy was telling me, you know, it won't mind me. I don't think he'll mind me saying, but Jimmy was telling me about this as it was happening, and I know how devastated he was
yeah.
at having to not fight, to then suddenly weeks after then being told that actually you're going to be all right, you will be able to, and having that switch. And you know, when I did the podcast with Jimmy,